Hi again, welcome back. Just like we did with multiplying with negative numbers, now we're going to look at patterns. Talking about patterns again. When we're dividing. A little bit trickier because people aren't as comfortable with division, but let's have a look at it. How many times does 2 go into 4? So if I had 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, how many times does 2 go into 4? So twice, so we've got 2 for that one. How many times does 2 fit into 2? It fits once. How many times does 2 go into 0? It doesn't. There's nothing. Now, if I ignored the negative for a moment, we need to now look at the patterns. These numbers were staying the same. 4, 2, 0. So if you're coming down here, 4, 2, 0, go down another 2 would be minus 2. Go down another 2 would be minus 4. So we're just moving down the thermometer on those numbers. They're staying the same. What happened to these numbers? They were at 2, it went to 1, it went to 0, and if we follow the pattern, the next answer has to be minus 1. So if we go down 1, the next one has to be minus 1. If we go down another 1, the next answer has to be minus 2 or negative 2. Let's have a look what's happening again. This was negative, that was positive, we end up with a negative. So we don't have 2 negatives making a positive, we only have 1 negative. Paul, only 1 negative stays by itself. It's got no partner. It's left by itself as a negative. So another negative times a positive, and we've got a negative. So one rule I could teach others is that, do we have 2 negatives? No, we only have 1. We need 2 negatives to make a positive. Now, from here to here is slightly different. I have to do that different because we don't want to divide by 0. It's too hard to divide by 0, and I don't want to talk about it here. So, 4 divided by 2, following this pattern we had here. How many times does 2 fit into 4? 2 fits into 4 twice. And we know that if we had 1 negative, it doesn't have a partner, so it stays as a negative. How many times does 2 go into 2? Is once. How many negatives did I have? Only the 1 negative, so it stays a negative. How many times does minus 2 fit into 0? Is none. 0. It doesn't fit in at all. Now the tricky one. Let's follow the pattern again. This time on the pattern, instead of going down 1, we're going up 1. So if I started at minus 2, I go up 1. I get to there. I go up another 1. I get to there. So this next answer by the pattern has to be a 1. Now, a bit of common sense, if you divide anything by itself, it goes into it once. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, 5 divided by 5 is 1. I like to joke around and say an elephant divided by the same elephant was 1. So how many times do you fit an elephant into itself? Once. So it has to be a positive. So that's where you can see that the 2 negatives, just from common sense, 2 negatives have to make a positive when you are dividing. So if we go up another 1 here, we end up at 2. So that's got to be a 2. Let's have a look at what's really happening. 2 negatives made a positive. We don't have to write a positive. How many times does 2 fit into 4? It fits in twice. So the normal numbers in calculation, when I first learnt these, I started going, they're just normal numbers. And then you look at if it's got 2 negatives, it makes a positive. So the basic rule comes back to 2 negatives make a positive. But I'm going to nag again about this idea here. If we had minus 2, minus 3, that means we're starting at minus 3 and we're going down 3. So if I start at minus 2 and I go down 1, 2, 3, I end up at minus 5 or negative 5. Did those 2 negatives make a positive? No. Because when I talk about they've got something in between, stops. It's like it's blocking the 2 negatives from getting together. So I've had something in between, they're trying to get together and they just can't make it because there's something in the way. But really, it just comes back to simple calculations. So when we are multiplying and when we're dividing, so multiplying and dividing, 2 negatives make a positive. So it doesn't apply when it's just normal subtraction. So we'll go with a mixture of these and show you in the next video. Thanks.